just about me.
Yeah, as you know, I'm Dave Kerber. I'm the chair of the Randall County Republican Party. And most of us are conservatives here. But it strikes me that conservatism is a movement, but the Republican Party is a party. And the difference is parties are parties and coalitions, as Ryan was saying. That there are people that we agree with 80% of the time that we are currently fighting with, who currently vote Democrat because they don't think they're welcome in our movement. And I can tell you, as Republicans, and Ryan, sadly, you're right. The object of politics is to gain power, and only then can we, move forward our principles.
Yeah. Well, and let's not lose sight of our principles. Let's not lose sight of the reasons that you or I are involved in politics, because I didn't get in politics to be about power.
Right.
I got in politics because I wanted to do something right. I wanted to actually help. Where I grew up, we didn't have power, but you certainly could look out and say, something ain't right about this. We're struggling. I want opportunity. I want to be able to make a life for myself. And I think that's what we ought to be about, is the reasons people are in it, but we have to understand the nature of the game in which we are playing. And that is perhaps a difference that we don't necessarily recognize. But to Dave's point, and to the presentation earlier, what the other side, the quote-unquote progressive movement, has done is they've managed to come together to, you have the environmentalists and the labor unions and all these other groups. They've managed to come together and say that we may have some differences amongst us, but overall we agree on more than which we disagree. We have to do the same thing. That is the way to win. If we don't, we face the very real possibility of becoming not just a minority party, but a minor party, a regional party. And none of us want to see that. I know I don't, and I know I don't want that for my children, and I hope you don't want that for yours. And so we have to effectively put together coalitions as a party, as conservatives, as moderates, where we agree, which I tend to believe is 80% of the time or more. Let's unify. We can fight or talk about the issues we disagree internally, but let's go win. How many of you are tired of losing? I know I am. It's time to go win in 2010. In order to do that, we have to have solutions, and we have to build coalitions. That's how we win in 2010. Right here, I'll go back here, and I'll come. I think there was a question somewhere up here. Right here.
Hi,
yes.
My name is Catherine Vitale. I feel like right now one of the biggest challenges we face as Republicans is that we have these two ideologies. We have the people that say that we need to try to appeal to a broader base, and then we have the Rush Limbaugh type mentality in which I fall, which is we need to get back to our principles, and we need to get back to being more about what we are as a party. And I see this as being a potential problem going forward, as you mentioned, fragmenting us.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? I've talked to a lot of people. I'm very opinionated. Everybody knows about me. They look at my car. They know what I'm about. And I talk to a lot of people and find that there are a lot of conservatives out there that believe the way we do, but that are so afraid to step out and, like you said, stand up for what they believe in. It's staggering, the amount of people that I talk to that are just afraid to stand up for what they believe in.
Yeah, I was asked the same question. I did a little piece with ABC News. I can't remember when it was. I think it was last week. Whenever I was out in Washington, I was just so glad to get back. It was a good trip, though. And I was asked a very similar question. And I'm going to give the same answer, but I'm going to say it a little differently than I said it on the TV show. And it kind of starts off with what I said earlier. It's about focus. We can either focus on where we disagree and all things we disagree on, or we can focus on things we agree on. And whether you're a conservative or you're a center-right moderate, as I said before, believe that 80% of the time we agree. Who in the room disagrees that or agrees that universal health care is the solution we want to move towards? I'm pretty sure most moderates even don't necessarily agree that government-run healthcare that is less efficient, where government makes decisions for you, is not the system we want. Who in the room wants a government that continues to be so irresponsible in its fiscal policies, that saddles us with debt and our children with debt, that ultimately debases our currency, lowering our living standard, where years from now, months from now, you go to the store to buy that loaf of bread, and it costs you $4, whereas it used to cost you $2. Not because the cost of bread has gone up, but rather because the value of your dollar has gone down. These are the types of things we can unite on, we can focus on as a party, as conservatives and those who are center-right, if you will, on solutions that we can all get behind. I think that's what we have to do, is focus on solutions and stop focusing on what divides us. So, thank you. I'm going to go, Loretta.
I think this is great,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's a little like we all sit around and preach to the choir.
Yeah, I agree.
And I want to know, for example, like the moms and dads whose kids lost that program in Washington, D.C., who have instant life impact. What are we doing to reach out to them as a party and get that message out to the people that have never thought of the Republican Party as caring one whit about what happens to their kids?
Yeah.
And based on the income bracket and the way you grew up,
Yeah.
how were you reached to see the light on this side of what the party can do for you?
It helped that I had a really good mom. Yeah, she knew how to put on a belt, you know. Kind of,
Yeah, okay.
put it to work in my household. But that's true. I mean, my mom is my hero. You know, to this day, she always will be, because of my mother and the decisions she made and the discipline she enforced in my household. That I'm here today. And certainly, there's some self-initiative. I certainly wanted more than what I had as a kid. You know, it's not fun coming home and not having much to eat. You know, it's not fun trying to figure out when you're going to get next a nice pair of pants. You know, but you figure it out, and your mom works her butt off to make it happen, and you find a way. You make a life for yourself. So, no one's ever given me anything. I've worked for everything I've ever gotten in my life. That said, how I was able to make it is I want more for me and my family and my loved ones. I wanted more. And I think that's the type of it. It starts at home, obviously.
But how do we get that message to the people that want the same thing you want but don't understand how to get it?
Well, I think there are a myriad of answers to that question, but obviously we got to start talking about these solutions in a way in which makes sense to people. I think we haven't done a good job of that in connecting with people about why our ideas, principles, solutions can in fact allow people to move up to achieve a better life for themselves and their children. It starts there. And while the media certainly has been difficult and has not aided our cause, I think the worst thing we can do is abandon or somehow treat the media as if they are our enemy. I think that's the worst thing we can do. I once heard you don't get into a fighting match with someone who buys ink by the barrel. Don't do that. And I think what we need to do is we need to establish better relationships with the media. And I know some people may hawk at that, or may laugh at that, but it's true. When someone was talking about lawsuits last year, or they almost got sued, I think earlier. Look, the labor unions came after me hard in 2008. They filed 4 lawsuits against me, 1 ethics complaint, 2 rounds of negative commercials, all at me. I'm just a little city councilman in Aurora. You would have thought I was running for a United States Senate or something. But they came after me very hard. But let me tell you, they tried to pull some stuff out at me to really make me look bad. They had this one commercial where I was over in China actually on a trip that Harvard University invited me out to Shanghai for a Global Series Conference, and my wife sent me an email saying, honey, I'm sorry about the commercials that they're running. You guys may have seen the websites they have that are negatively targeting me. And she said, we're sorry they're running these commercials around the state. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And so she sent me the link, and I checked it out. And so the next day I called her, it's a 14-hour difference. And I said, that's crazy. And in the commercial they have me on the dollar bill. I'm on the tape. And my son, my oldest son, I have 3 kids, 11, 8, and 5. My oldest son came back to the phone when we were talking. He said, hey, Dad, I need to ask you something, because they were running these commercials on family-friendly channels. That's how dirty they are. And my son came back. He said, Dad, I need to ask you something. I said, go ahead. He said, are you going to be on the dollar bill? You never know. But I tell you, my point